Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our first ever session for Posinyanga for MICT-Kavango West. I'm Elizabeth Hiyolwa and I'll be your host for today. Joining me in studio is the second Chief Regional Officer for Namibia's youngest region, Kavango West, Mr. Mpasi Haingura. Welcome.
Welcome and thank you for having me.
Today, we are going to speak to Mr. Haingura about his year in office. We are going to unravel his experiences during the year, some of the challenges and some of the highlights, and also perhaps what are some of the future goals that he has in store for the region. Mr. Haingura, before we kick off, I would actually want you to first give us a brief background of yourself, and also perhaps what are some of the positions that you served before taking up the position as the Chief Regional Officer.
Thank you very much for the question. As you indicated, I'm Mpasi Haingura. Of course, I have been in the public service for quite some time now. And before I took over this position, I served as a Director for Finance, HR, and Administration, shortly referred to as General Services. That is under Kavango West Regional Council for almost 5 years. And before that, I served as one of the founding members in terms of management from Kurenkuru Town Council. I also served as a manager for finance, HR, and administration. In short, I have both a private and public experience when it comes to management.
So I'll be correct to say that you are actually one of those people that would really say that have been there for the baby from the crawling stage to the working stage for Kavango West region.
Of course, because in fact, in terms of management, cadres, I'm one of the first 2 managers, directors per se, who were recruited for Kavango West Regional Council, just from the beginning of the establishment of the Regional Council. So I have been there. I know all the good and the bad of Kavango West region, particularly when it comes to governance and administration.
Great, we are speaking to an expert. Okay, so what are some of the roles as a Chief Regional Officer? What are some of your roles in office?
A Chief Regional Officer, my role is broad. And there's no way we can speak about the role of the Chief Regional Officer without first mentioning the mandate of the Regional Council. In fact, or in short, I'm the principal advisor to the Council. And when I say I'm the principal advisor to the Council, then we go back now to the mandate of the Regional Council. So meaning that my advice to the regional councillors is to ensure that decisions that are taken by the council are in compliance to the mandate of the regional council as provided for by the Regional Council Act, Act 22 of 1992 as amended, particularly specifically to Section 28, because that is the one that deals now with the mandate, powers, duties, functions, rights, and obligations of the Regional Council.
Great. So, as a principal advisor, it has been a year now that you've been in office, what are some of the highlights that you would actually want to emphasize on during your term in office?
Yes, even though I stayed for a shorter period in office, it looks like I have been there already for 5 years, particularly when it comes to the activities for the last 12 months in office. The highlight is we undertook, that was the first ever undertaking of the Regional Council, if not in Namibia. I should say that is the first for all the regional councils. We undertook public consultative meetings where we convened public meetings in all our 8 constituencies. And the purpose of this public meeting was just to inform the residents of Kavango West, to inform them about our operational activities, and moreover, for them to understand the mandate of the Regional Council, including the office of the Regional Governor, because we know that in all 14 regions, we have 2 public offices that are easily recognizable. That is the office of the Governor, which is the political head of the region, and the office of the Regional Council, which is headed by the chairperson of the Regional Council. And that was my first task, to ensure that at least we inform the public pertaining to our mandate. The mandate of these 2 offices and of course, telling them our plans, what we have done and what are we going to do in future.
Okay. Speaking of plans, you spoke about the plans that you have for these people. You went out into the communities, you spoke to the public, you heard their cries, you gave them the plans that you have. So can you perhaps also just highlight for us during this session, what are some of the goals that your office has in store for the region?
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe before we go to the goals, on the achievement aspect in the 1-year period, just one that I've omitted, which is also crucial for the public to know. Recently, Kavango West has been rated among the top best performance regional councils by the IPPR, that is the Independent Public Policy Research Institution in Namibia. And that is important for us to understand as residents of Kavango West, and of course, Namibia at large, that Kavango West Regional Council, despite all the other negativity reports when it comes to poverty, but of course, in terms of governance, we know what to do and how to do it and what it takes to do it. And coming now to our goals, particularly the plans that we have shared with our residents, of course, knowing Kavango West region, it is 99% rural. And as such, when it comes to planning, as I indicated earlier before that, you need to understand the mandate of the regional councils for you to undertake any planning activities within the region. And of course, our mandate as a regional council is just almost equivalent to the mandate of the National Planning Commission at national level. But of course, we are a regional council. That mandate is now confined within the jurisdiction of the region, which is Kavango West. And our focus for now, we are focusing on establishing growth points that should subsequently be declared as settlements or village councils. And we are almost at an advanced stage. Growth points like Pungu, Bunya, Kachinakachi has already been identified, feasibility studies concluded already. We are now at stage of ensuring that how do we ensure that these growth points are declared as settlements, or perhaps if it goes well, some of them can be declared as village council. And in addition to that, we also have other 2 growth points that were identified before. When I say before, it was before the split of the Kavango region into 2 regions, Kavango East and West. This is namely Rupara and Ngamagoro. So these 2 growth points, they are also on top of our list to ensure that they also become part of the growth points that should become settlements. And when we talk about declaring a village to become a settlement or a village council, then this means it has to be managed as if it is a local authority area. And that should be now in terms of service provision within that particular jurisdiction.
Okay. With all these great ideas that you have in store for the region, they being the youngest region, yet so vast, with only 1 local authority town in the region, being 99% rural, being also, despite all these challenges, being rated as one of the best performing regions in the. What are some of the challenges that you've experienced during your term in achieving these achievements?
Challenges are many. First of all, issues of governance at office level. Because you know, I supervise quite a number of staff members, including those under the delegated functions. And my first task is to ensure that we impact relevant knowledge to the young, because I have a young dynamic team that is full of energy and moreover knowledge. But now the ethical aspect, we need to ensure that they possess that necessary ethical aspect in terms of service delivery. And of course, when it comes to challenges, there are quite a number. Top on our agenda when it comes to challenges that we want now, where we need necessary interventions so that the region can at least make a meaningful change when it comes to development. We are talking about roads. Since Kavango West is 99% rural, the majority of our residents depends on subsistence farming for a living. And now these people are in the inland, there are no roads, feeder roads we are talking about. Because in most cases, people, when they travel in Kavango West, they only travel on the nice B9 tired road, and they think everything is just nice. But just off the road, then you already start seeing that we need additional feeder roads that can connect now our subsistence farmers to the main road so that they can market their produce. And apart from that, from the road infrastructure, we also have some challenges, including the healthcare services. And we have a headache when it comes now to the service delivery or developmental implementation programs for the Ministry of Health and Social Services. In 2014, to be specific, a groundbreaking ceremony was done in Kavango West region for the construction of an intermediate hospital. And today, it's now still in a history for us that that particular construction will be realized. So we are always in constant communication with the Minister of Health and Social Services to ensure that that groundbreaking ceremony that was on top, it was also done by the former President Hifikepunye Pohamba, and until today, 2022, there are no significant plans on when this hospital will take off the construction. We know about the challenges in terms of the economic challenges posed by the global pandemics, particularly COVID, and all other factors currently at global level. But of course, we will still ensure that that particular hospital, we will engage with the Minister of Health and Social Services, being a key stakeholder in health provision. Because for this nation to develop, we need healthy people. That's why that one is very important. And in addition to the other two challenges that I raised, we also have a challenge, particularly when it comes to youth developments. This region does not have any single youth infrastructure, be it sport or any other facility. And the same applies to the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service. They've constructed, Kurenkuru Town Council for that matter, did us good. They donated land to the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service. And even the land that I was talking about for the Ministry of Health, it was also donated. We need to applaud the Kurenkuru Town Council for that gesture, coming on board to assist the government, because Kurenkuru being a young town, government need to take a lead in ensuring that it takes off. And of course, coming back now to the sport infrastructure development, Kavango West does not have any sport infrastructure. Now the Ministry of Sport, Youth and National Service, they have also fenced off the area that was donated almost 2 years back now, and that area is still idling. And we are having sleepless nights from the youth whenever they ask, because we are the leadership on the ground. They always knock on our door. What is happening in terms of this infrastructure? And we have no answers to give. But of course, we will continue to engage. Almost a week ago, we had a fruitful consultation with the Minister of Sport, Honorable Agnes Chongarero, including the Head Deputy and the ED in Windhoek. And our delegation was led by the chairperson. And those are some of the key focus areas that we engaged, including the staff establishment for that particular Ministry of Sport within the region. And our consultation was fruitful, apart from the challenges that we know in terms of the economics growth for the country. And of course, we are still hopeful that a day will come when we will also smile and will also be able to put a smile on the face of the youth of this region. And those are some of the key critical areas within the region. But there are many, we can list them. It's quite a number. Yes.
So the term to describe or to associate with the challenges that you've experienced, what I've heard from what you said, is we are hopeful that there will be change, that the challenges will be overcome, even if it takes a bit longer than we expect. So as the principal advisor, the head of the region, Is there maybe perhaps something that you want to add on or you want to say to the youth or the residents of Kavango West?
Yes, the only thing that I want also to share with the public, particularly the residents of Kavango West, we just need to understand the aspect of governance. It is a cumbersome process, and it does not say that if we are planning for a particular undertaking or a project, it can happen in a year or two. These are some of the activities or some of the information that we shared with the public when we had consultative meetings. Because it is important for the public to understand governance process, how decisions are being taken. When we talk about development budget for the region, or we identify developmental projects for the region, it does not mean that once we identify it, then that is a conclusive, because it needs to compete with other projects from other certain regions. That is now at national level. And last but by no means least, as I indicated earlier on, that for us to ensure that we succeed, we need to understand the mandate of the Regional Council. If I can draw your attention to Section 28, 2B of the Regional Council, where it says that Regional Council has a right on its own accord to make a motion to Cabinet for any matter that is peculiar or unique to the region. It's either to submit to the Cabinet or to the responsible minister. And this is exactly what this Regional Council is now busy doing, particularly when we went out in the region, in the public consultation, because we also visited some key projects or institutions that are operating within the region. And one of that is Kavango Cattle Range. And we have found out that livestock at that particular farm, they are not in good condition at all, and which can be described, or as which can be described, particularly in terms of management, as poor management. So NIDA might have different challenges, but for us as a regional council, we want to see that that particular farm is managed properly, because that farm has historical link with the region. From day one, when the land was allocated by the Ukwangali traditional authorities to the then government, to ensure that at least it becomes part of the developmental programs that can add value to the economic development of this region. And of course, we also have some other issues in the region, disputes within the Ukwangali traditional authorities. Of course, those are some also of the issues that as a council, we need to ensure that we engage with the relevant royal families so that these disputes can be brought to an end. Because there's no way this regional council can function properly while one of our key stakeholders are having disputes. That's why I referred now to the mandate of the regional council, particularly when we say its duties, functions, powers, rights, and obligations. And that section 28(2)B, it's a right for the regional council to make that particular submission on its own accord to cabinet or to the relevant minister, meaning that as a council, our mandate is broad. Some people might not understand the mandate of the regional council, but it's also our duty to do public advocacy so that they can understand that when we come in, we do not intervene for our own interest. We intervene for the interest of the region and to ensure that we also comply with the provision of our Regional Council Act, Act 22 of 1992, as amended, because that is basically the existence of the Regional Council.
Good. So, Mr. Haingura, since we are at the end of the year now, what is your Christmas message and New Year's message to your residents?
Thank you very much. Obviously, we are coming to the end of the current calendar year. Normally, when we come to the end, the only message is for our residents to ensure that for those who will be traveling within the region, outside the region, we wish them safe journeys so that they can meet with their families, friends, and so on. But of course, my request is compliance to the relevant legislation that governs, particularly the road traffic ordinance and the transport regulations, so that we ensure that we drive safely and avoid unnecessary statistics that we do not want. We want to ensure that all of us come back in 2023. And I wish all our residents and Namibia at large a Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year.
Thank you very much. This brings us to the end of our first session of Posinyanga. Mr. Haingura, the Principal Advisor, the head of the region, thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you.
My pleasure.
Thank you.